Have you ever sat in a doctor's office and felt like you needed a secret decoder ring just to figure out what's going on? Yeah, me too. It really can feel like they're speaking a whole different language. But what if I told you there's a key to cracking that code? And honestly, it's way simpler than you might think. Today, we're going to do just that. So here's our game plan. We'll start with why medical language is even a thing. Then we'll get into the good stuff, the prefixes. We'll cover scale and amount, then time and position, and finally, quality and function. Stick with me, and by the end of this, you are going to be the code breaker. All right, section 1, cracking the medical code. To really get a handle on medicine, you've got to start with its language. It might sound like a bunch of random, complicated jargon, but it's actually, well, it's a system, a really precise one, designed to be super clear, but only if you know the rules. So, have you ever felt like your doctor was speaking another language? Come on, we've all been there, right? You're sitting on that crinkly paper, nodding your head like you understand everything, but inside your brain is just screaming, what did they just say? It can feel totally overwhelming, and there's a good reason for that. It's because, honestly, you're not wrong. It pretty much is a different language. But here's the secret. It's a language built out of simple blocks, kind of like Legos. And the real trick is learning to spot that very first block, the prefix. If you can do that, you've just found the master key. It's the most powerful tool you have for figuring this stuff out. Okay, let's get into our first set of tools. We're talking about prefixes of scale and amount. These are the ones that help us understand the basics. The really important questions like, how big is it? How many are there? And, maybe most importantly, is this level normal? Okay, check these out. A lot of these are probably pretty intuitive, right? We see micro and macro all the time, small and large, easy. Then you've got your numbers, uni for 1, bi for 2, tri for 3. But I really want you to focus on these last 3 here. Hyper, which means above normal, hypo, which is below normal, and eu, which means normal or good. These 3, they are absolute game changers. You're going to see them everywhere. So let's really zero in on this pair, hyper and hypo, because they are so important. The best way to think about them is like a volume knob. Hyper means the volume is cranked way up, too much of something, overactive. And hypo means the volume is turned way, way down, not enough, underactive. Seriously, if you remember anything, remember these 2. They pop up constantly. And here's a perfect example of how this works in the real world. Let's take the word hyperthyroidism. Now, maybe you have no idea what a thyroid does, and that's okay, but you can spot that prefix, right? Hyper. You know that means above normal or overactive. And boom, just like that, you figured out the basic problem, an overactive thyroid. See, you're already cracking the code. All right, moving on to our next toolkit, prefixes of time and position. I like to think of these as the GPS and the clock of medical language. They're all about pinpointing exactly when and where something is going on in the body. So in this group, you've got stuff related to time, like pre for before and post for after, like prenatal care or post-op recovery. Then we have speed demons, tachy for fast and brady for slow. And finally, we have location prefixes that tell us if something is inside, like endo, or around, like peri. Each one of these adds a crucial layer of meaning. Now, just like we had hyper and hypo for levels, we've got another really important pair for speed, tachy and brady. Remember, tachy is fast, brady is slow. So from now on, whenever you see or hear one of those, I want you to immediately think, okay, what's going too fast or what's going too slow? Let's try one out. Say you hear the term bradycardia. Okay, what do you see? There it is, brady, which we know means slow. And the second part, cardia. Well, that's related to the heart. Think cardio. Put them together, slow heart. That's literally all it means. You just translated bradycardia into an abnormally slow heart rate. It really is that simple. Okay, time for our last set of prefixes. These are all about quality and function. You can basically think of them as the descriptive words, the adjectives of medicine. They're going to tell us if something is good, bad, abnormal, or even if the body is doing something to itself. This is where we get some really useful descriptive power. You've got ante and contra, which both mean against. Think of an antibiotic, which works against bacteria. Then you have dis and mal. These are basically red flags. When you see them, you know something is bad or abnormal. And auto is a really interesting one. It means self, like in an autoimmune disease, where the body's immune system is literally attacking itself. So if you see a word like dysfunction, what's the first thing you spot? That prefix, dis, and you know that means bad or abnormal. So a dysfunction is just a bad function, an impaired function. You didn't need to look that up in a medical dictionary, did you? Nope. All you needed was the prefix. And that's it. We've just gone through the three main toolkits. We've seen how they work, and now that power is yours. You are officially a code breaker. You know, there's a saying, the first step toward understanding is learning the language. And that is so true here. What we've just done isn't about memorizing words for a test. It's about learning the language of your own body, of your own health. This is what empowers you to understand what's going on, to ask smarter questions, and to really be a partner in your own healthcare. And really, it all boils down to this super simple three-step process. The next time you come across one of those big, scary-looking medical words, don't sweat it. Just remember this. Step 1, find the prefix at the beginning. Step 2, figure out what that prefix means. And step 3, connect that meaning to the rest of the word. That's it. That's the whole secret. So, you have the key now. You have a tool that can turn that feeling of confusion into clarity, and maybe even turn a little bit of anxiety into genuine understanding. So the only question left is, what will you unlock in your next conversation about health?